Aloha, I'm Noelle Rodriguez, and this is the Global Hope Show. This is non-corporate media. This is the people here at Hawaii Community College, UHH, community members and faculty all getting together, and we're the pundits this time. We're going to discuss our community. So stay tuned and watch us discuss what's happening here. Aloha.
Aloha, I'm Randall McEntry, and I'm working on being moderate, so I guess that makes me the moderator. And I'd like to have our guests introduce themselves and say your name and where you're from, and maybe a major interest if that is up for you.
My name is Corey French. I'm a student here at UH, and I'm from Kauai. And interest of mine, I'm very interested in net neutrality today. I'd like to talk about that a little bit.
Great.
Kyahi, I'm a ACC student, community member, president of a forest team club, and environmentally and culturally conscious.
And I'm Karan Manafo, and I am a HCC UH student, and I am very passionate about food, healthy eating, and food in relation to the health of our planet.
Excellent. I'm Randall McEntry. I teach at Hawaii Community College, and my interests are also food. I took Kanu Hawaii's challenge to eat locally this week, and I also teach a course on China, so if that is to come into the global nature of our discussion, that would be fine with me.
I'm Bunny Smith, community member, and I would be happy to talk for a moment or so about an upcoming walk for Palestine for freedom and equality.
My name is Jennifer Ruggles. I'm a former HCC student, graduate. I guess today I'd be interested in talking about food as well because I took the Kanu Hawaii Challenge too.
My name is Jared. I'm a student here, and my interest, life. That's about it.
It seems that all these are tied together under the rubric of life. And since two of us are doing the challenge and you're interested in food, I would just like to maybe start this by saying how very exciting it is to take something from the abstract, which is knowing about better eating. I actually bring that in as a theme in my reading courses, if you can imagine that, how food is grown, how corn is so much a part of the processed food that we eat. But then to actually start a garden, which I haven't done yet, but in this case, eat locally. It is fascinating how it reframes almost everything I've done this week. And that is exciting. I find myself not quite proselytizing, but it's interesting how that can easily leak out to someone that I'm talking to. I had a dinner guest over Sunday, and I just mentioned it to him. That's a really good idea. So I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Well, at first I was really stressed out because I couldn't find any food that was local. But eventually, after going from store to store to store, farmers market to farmers market, talking to all the vendors, I've actually found that, and buying the food, now that I had it at home, I'm actually eating really, really well. I feel like I'm eating really rich, delicious foods, and basically as spices, all I have to work with is lemon, lime, mac nut oil, and Hawaiian salt, and basil, which I bought. And yeah, and as far as starches, just sweet potato and taro, and meat, fish, because I don't really like beef or pig, but I've been eating really, I mean, I had a huge salad with avocado, cheese, egg, and local veggies, and I feel like I have to eat less, too. Do you feel like that?
Very much
I feel like
so.
I've been eating less, and I'm getting full faster, and yeah.
And I'm very, I was trained by Scottish ancestry to be very frugal. So I like a good deal, and it's put me up against some things where there was a party on Saturday night and there was food left over, and they gave me some of the leftover food. I'm like, well, can I eat it now? Because maybe it wasn't locally grown. But just the kind of ethical interior dialogue with oneself about how is this? How does this fit in? I bought Mac nuts that cost you less, and they were packaged in Davis, California, but I figure they're from here,
No.
and they were on sale, so.
Oh, no.
How about
Get the little
you?
ones.
You know, I did not take that challenge, but I have been personally challenging myself. Since November, I watched Food Inc. I suggest that everybody who has not seen that, please watch that movie. And I decided to go vegetarian after that because I was shocked and horrified. And then after that, and of course I switched everybody in my family, so all of my children went vegetarian, and everybody reluctantly got on board, but everybody did it. And after everybody was integrated, I found it took a couple months to integrate everybody, and I found us eating healthier and healthier, and then soon I stopped shopping at KTA or, you know, the regular grocery stores, and I exclusively started shopping at the health food stores. And then about, I don't know, June or so, I decided that, you know, I was really having a lot of mucus and there was other things going on with my body. I said, you know, I think we need to go vegan and we need to cut out all dairy. So we cut out all dairy, and that was another amazing leap of, wow, what a difference, what a difference. Then about a month went by and everybody was, of course, balking again. The children were like, but Mom, cheese! It's okay, the meat was okay, it was the cheese was a major issue with giving up the cheese and the ice cream. But as we started going on with the program and moving forward and everybody integrated into what we were doing, then I said, okay, well, let's take the next step. And we decided to start integrating raw foods, more of a raw foods approach. And I've been doing the raw foods diet for about 6 weeks. And I started slowly, about maybe 20 to 30% raw foods, but also very much paying attention to getting foods locally, getting foods that were from here. I think that the Maku'u Farmers Market is one of the best sources for local organic produce, because I'm very, very dedicated to eating only organic produce as much as I possibly can. But you know, once I really started taking the raw food challenge, if you will, I got a dehydrator and I got a Vitamix blender, which I'll tell you that's my favorite thing in the whole world now. You can make anything with the Vitamix blender. And it's amazing. It's amazing what happens is that once you do these things, you start feeling so different, and like you don't even want to put things that are not pure in your body. And it just makes, it just feels so wrong to do that. And it feels like so liberating to be able to say, you know, wow, I ate all raw foods today, or wow, I ate mostly raw foods today, and wow, I feel really great. And then I found myself quitting coffee because it wasn't working for me anymore. And I said, well, I'm doing all of these wonderful things, but then I'm still drinking coffee. So it was a very slow progression, and the results are amazing. And I try to impart that with other people. But as you said, people do get a bit defensive, I think.
Well, it's extremely personal and very deep to all of us. I
Yeah.
know how many times I've tried to do this. I found a juicer at a thrift store for $3, and
Yeah.
it was never used. And now to use locally grown organic vegetables and juice them, it's really quite amazing.
It is.
Plus, the money stays on the island.
Absolutely.
The economic
Very
multiplier
important.
effect is
Very important.
really quite something. It just, yeah, we're sounding so proselytizing, but
You are.
it does get you
Keep on.
excited.
You know, and people say, this is what people say, God, your skin is so beautiful. And my answer always is, it's an organic diet and lots of water. And, you know, gosh, your eyes are shining. And that really, it's like, look, so instead of telling people, you know, okay, this is the best way to do it, you just be who you are and do it. And then as they ask you, you share the information, and then they take from that what they will. That's really the best approach, because you can lose friendships over having arguments about food. That's the reality, and,
Right.
and you know, I've experienced that. So, but you know, did you go to the Chancellor's induction ceremony yesterday at HCC?
No, I made my kihei, but
I have to say that that was really a beautiful experience, and the reason why I mentioned that in this conversation with food is because at the end of the ceremony they shared the traditional the kalo and the sweet potato, and and with just the Hawaiian salt and the kava. And just that bit of food and that taking and that sharing of food was such a spiritual experience that I was moved to tears, like for 3 hours after having that experience and sharing that experience. And you know, I shared that with my friend and how beautiful that was, and that the food, just that bit of food, just that little bit of food on that banana leaf and the one piece of taro and the one piece of sweet potato said so much for experience of community and communication and unity. It said so much, and that's so crucial, and that's really what we all are longing to experience.
And blending the communities. What better way to really, break bread or break taro with somebody than
Absolutely,
There's a
absolutely.
big aspect to that too. I mean, especially when you're eating locally, you have to, you don't want to eat the same banana every day. So you think of new ways.
To change it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mix some with this, mix some with that. I mean, it's not a very good conversation starter to walk up to somebody who just got something from McDonald's and, oh, how did you make that? I ordered a number 3. I mean, it's, how interesting is that?
Yeah.
So that whole that change of aspect of thinking and making your own stuff, and you can walk up to somebody and go, how did you make that? And then you have like a half an hour conversation of, oh, I took that, and that tasted really good, so I tried to throw some of that inside, and
Yeah.
then I threw in something that I probably shouldn't have done, but I tried it anyway, and it was okay. I'll leave that out next time.
Yeah, right.
It starts conversations. So as well as losing friends sometimes, you
You
make
can gain them.
a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Corey?
Also, food that you buy from the mainland, food that you buy in packages, in convenient little separate things, or even just mainland food in general, they don't have the nutrients that our soil has. And Hawaii is one of those last places too that has that rich soil that we can grow, and we should use that. I heard something like a carrot grown in a commercial farm has like half the amount of vitamin A. I might be wrong on this. Like 20% or 20 times less the amount of magnesium and zinc. So you have to eat 20 carrots to get one organic carrot from the 50s, the equal amount of vitamins. So not only is it benefiting the local economy to eat local, but really it's benefiting yourself too with the nutrient value. You don't have to take supplements. You don't have to
Right.
do all this extraneous things to get the same nutrients you get from eating a carrot from the mainland.
Not only that, but just don't be so self-important. Like, do you really need to eat a carrot that was shipped all the way across the Pacific Ocean?
Yes.
You can buy it
Yes,
from a
I
local
do.
person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
What's better about that carrot, Jared, than one that's grown here?
I'm supporting corporate America.
Okay. Isn't it wonderful that you have that choice?
That's right.
Okay.
And that's what I would way rather have I personally don't like health food. Stuff's gross, it has no flavor, and it smells funny. That's my opinion.
Depends on where you're getting it from.
Yeah, and who's making it,
I
absolutely.
personally don't support it. I think it takes away from the American system. But the personal farmers is not contributing to the companies and the corporations. But like I said, there's two sides to it.
Wait, the Monsanto-owned American farm system?
I
Right?
support them too. I do.
What a great country.
Right?
I think if we, as human beings, are intelligent enough to do it, then we can do it.
The American farm system, I'm sorry to
No,
interrupt you,
no,
but the
go ahead.
American farm system used to be actually based on independent farmers growing food that was actually really distributed to their local areas where and it was based on, kept that money and that food in the local economy. It's only been since the last, 50 years or so that we've really totally screwed up the food supply, and it's become, shipping food it is in these long distances. And that's where you start to see the decline of the health and of society and all of these other things
Right,
that fall.
cancer.
Yeah, absolutely, that fall, obesity, all of that never existed in
And
our
that
country.
supports our medical
In
system.
the rates that it's happened,
And that
right?
supports our medical system.
And the pharmaceutical companies
That's
who make
right.
all the pharmaceuticals so that you
And
can
that supports-
continue to kill yourself by the food that you put in your mouth that's dead.
Well, Jared,
Absolutely.
Jared, you very eloquently represent a point of view that at one level, the most productive person in the American economy is a 55-year-old guy who's just gotten divorced, who has cancer, and a whole host of things that engage lawyers and a medical system
Yeah.
and poverty counselors and broken families. Yes, and at some level of the current economic system, that's all making money.
Supporting.
But look what's happening to us as they're making money.
Yeah.
Families are breaking up, people are getting sick. That's not personally how I want to spend my money. I'd rather spend my money right here, right now, and feel good. If you haven't even tried the other way, it's very difficult to call for an honest comparison.
That
Yeah.
sounds pretty selfish.
I'm not even worried about my money. My money isn't gonna get sick. I'm worried
Yeah,
about me.
yeah.
It's my life. I'm
For
worried
real.
about.
Yeah, it
Selfish.
is. It's how
What
you
about eating
feel.
real food, not genetically modified organisms, but made in a petri dish?
It's how you feel, really, that's really
And
what it
it's a
all comes
point, it
down
is
to.
selfish, but I would say it's an enlightened self-interest. When I do this, it's good for me, and it doesn't take away from somebody else. It takes away from a corporation. Boo-hoo. They can live.
Can I ask a question?
Not a good
It seems to me that we can go pretty far in this, because we have plenty of vegetables. We show vegetables and fruits and so forth. But what about rice? A huge proportion of our population, rice is a mainstay for them. And what about wheat as far as making bread?
Well,
Yeah.
Bunny, I think that these
Yeah.
things can be grown. I don't know that.
They
but-
have been grown in the past, but I don't know.
But we
if they are.
have an
Yeah.
enormous number of master gardeners. This island has quietly and slowly and through the years attracted people who really love growing things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they come here, there's a hotline that you can talk to a master gardener and find out how to grow wheat or
Okay.
rice, or if it's possible to do that. This is an enormous community that's very little known. It's part of, and I know this is a touchy word, but I'm going to use the word sovereignty, because personal sovereignty comes from being able to feed yourself.
Yeah, and your
Yeah.
family.
When you can do
Absolutely.
that and you can make choices, and the choices that you want to make, Jared, I have nothing against that.
Yeah.
But
I actually support you guys, because without you guys, the corporations don't have anything to make. So you support us.
Well, my question is though, when food supply stops coming from mainland, what happens? And that sends a lot of
Right.
people into a scramble. Like if you're, the only place that you know how to get food from is the grocery store, what the hell do you do when there's no more food at the grocery store? We have, what, 3 days of food on the island? So what happens? And when we get, even if we had a 2-week shutdown of no shipments coming from the mainland, what happens
Devastating.
then, right? And, you know, to answer your question about to replace rice and wheat, if we didn't have the ridiculous law that we can eat hemp, but we cannot grow it in the United States, then the Big Island probably could produce enough hemp to not only supply our whole island, but to also make a ton of money other places in the world. Because it's a perfect climate to grow hemp. Hemp is protein, you can make bread from hemp, there's a plethora of things. But regardless of that, there's also other things, like I made raw bread for the first time this last weekend, and it was celery and flax seeds and some spices like rosemary, which I'm not sure on the flax seeds if flax seeds grow here, but the other things do.
Do, right.
And it's raw, and it was bread, and I ate it all week, and it
Yeah.
cost me like $2,
That,
not
that
even.
was, but that was my problem, or for this Con Hawaii thing, I couldn't find any grain to eat besides raw corn, or just corn on the cob.
Yeah.
There's no wheat or rye or any sort of grain besides corn on this island.
now I bought bread that was baked in Waimea. I don't know where they got their
Yeah,
materials,
the
but
wheat still
Exactly.
comes from the mainland, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's something that is difficult where you have to make adjustments.
But also, I think what we're always talking in Global Hope about what is possible, what we can do, and just a shift like this
Right.
is enormous. Do you have to go completely local? I haven't been able to do it totally. Does that mean I give up? It's not just one or the other. it's pieces of it as we go along.
Let me
And-
throw the,
yeah.
I'm gonna throw the cultural wrench into this machine.
Yeah,
Please.
Because there's a native buckwheat. It's native endemic and nobody really knows or cares about it.
know
Why? Because everybody's used to eating, you know, as Americans, what we live in now, we tend to bring what we want here
Yeah.
Right.
instead of using what's here already.
Right.
So culturally, that kind of upsets me a little bit because there's a whole plethora of native plants, endemic stuff, grew here, came here, was here for the last 3,000 years. We don't really use them.
Yeah.
We have the purest water on earth growing all over the place in coconut trees, and we just look at them. And then we call a guy Fukara and trim them,
So it doesn't hit the car.
right? Because that's a liability. It's all right there.
Yeah, it is, and that's
Grains, I
absolutely
mean,
true.
as far
I
as
don't know
cheese
about the
goes,
grains.
have you used ulu poi
Mm-mm.
for cheese?
Mm-mm.
It's beautiful.
Really?
Try it.
Yeah, no,
It's
I would,
awesome.
I
You
would
bake your ulu
definitely,
poi.
definitely.
Yeah,
be
you bake your
interested in that.
ulu, you cut one hole inside of ulu, put
Yeah.
stick butter inside there, bake it, and then
Yeah.
thing come out, you mash it up.
Oh, it's-
Awesome.
Cheese. Yeah, but butter is not vegan, so you cannot,
Oh, well.
yeah, no. But however,
We can find
however,
something
you
for
could
that.
use coconut, you can use coconut
Coconut?
cream, and that would totally suffice. And, you know, you can
Yes.
make milk with coconut, you just blend it in the blender and then sieve it through a nut bag, and that's coconut milk. You know, there's, I haven't tried it with mac nuts yet, but I'm quite certain you could do it with mac nuts. There's really beautiful amounts of food, but you definitely have a point. I did not know about native buckwheat. Now I'm all
Where
hot.
is native buckwheat?
Hot
Where's
It's in
about
there.
native buckwheat.
Huh?
It's in danger.
Oh.
So it's not at that point yet where we can like mass produce it and stuff, but it does grow.
But that would bring it back if
Really?
it became
Yeah.
a food
Absolutely.
problem.
With genetic
yeah.
engineering, you could bring it back.
Niels,
Native ingenuity, you could.
Thank you.
I've seen, well, I was in some Pacific Islands, and the stuff they made with coconut was incredible.
Mhm.
I mean, the list of things, from their beer, they called it toddy, all the way to the syrup, I mean, it was just, they made bread, it was just incredible.
Yeah.
Just one plant.
Just one plant, I bet you know a bunch of that, I bet there are books that tell you the multiple of things you can do with just one plant.
But they're not really books, I call them people.
Yeah,
Okay.
right?
There's a huge resource, like what he was talking about. There's a gigantic resource, and you know, I don't know if I can use the sovereignty word in that sense either, but La Hoi Hoi Ea, it's a food sovereignty movement that's held every year, and it's a native food sovereignty movement. And you
When?
have,
About when is that?
you see it about August. Yeah, so a lot of the community gardens get together and throw their stuff all in the mix, and it's really an amazing place. I mean, as far as that buckwheat goes, I've heard of them making poi pancakes,
Uh-huh.
and you just mix it in with all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
There's huge amounts of possibilities. It's just sad to me when I go looking for these resources, and sometimes they're harder to find, and they're
Yeah.
not as out there because people want to do that. Oh, I don't know if I like eat that.
Yeah.
I know that grows here and that's
Yeah.
local, but I want that.
Yeah, they want what they already know.
But
That's
you
why
know
we
what-
have the barges that come
You
in.
know what this
Yeah.
is making me think of, though? A pattern from the past, which was the scientist George Washington Carver, who took the peanut and made, what? I don't know.
137 things out of
Different
it.
kinds of things.
And it
all
was to
kinds of-
help free the black people in the
Yeah.
South so
Yeah.
that they would have their own
Right.
industries
Yeah.
and their
Right.
own
Yeah.
economy.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, if we could take that pattern and start moving forward as far as some of these native foods, it'd be very exciting.
What was that
Absolutely.
hotline that you were talking, you said there's a hotline?
Yes, there's
Yeah.
a cooperative on Lani Kaula or Kavili Street or something, and I'm seeing the number there. I think you could probably Google Master Gardeners in Hawaii. There's a Palm Society, Orchid Society. I
Absolutely.
mean,
There's
a
a
lot of
lot.
people moved here because of the growing environment.
Yeah.
And that is
One of the best in
software
the world.
that is, absolutely invaluable.
Yeah.
Could you give us that number next week if you
I'd
could
love
find
to.
it? Okay.
The
yeah.
Big Island
Online?
especially, there's so many climates on the Big Island. If
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
grow wheat in Papaico, I'm sure you could find someplace.
All of that's been grown.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
spoken to agriculturists, yeah.
Our
Interesting.
time is dwindling, and I'd just like to say that in a place that can grow virtually anything, and I don't know all the particulars, but to have 90% of our food imported and to be dependent upon an industrial machine, an industrial economy, it just seems crazy to me.
It's a bit
Even
ridiculous.
if we
Yeah.
go even a little bit in the direction, we can still have both
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
I
Can
mean,
we
last
make it
time I
50?
checked, Hawaii is part of the United States.
Kind of.
It is a
Because-
state.
because-
It is a
Because
state.
it was stolen.
If we didn't steal it, somebody else would have. You can
Clearly, we
speak
have lots of
Japanese
fodder
or
for our future shows.
Because it was stolen.
Okay, would you rather speak Chinese?
Why not?
They would have taken it.
I'd like to say
Oh, my.
something about supporting corporate America. One thing about that,
Don't
they
do it.
don't care about you. They don't care about you.
No,
They don't
they
care about
don't.
you. You're a number.
They want you to die of
They
cancer.
don't care about you. It's a mob mentality. For
I didn't
someone to
ask
support
them
that, for someone to support that is the same reason some lower guy in the mafia would support the mafia boss.
Right.
Because they've had this illusion that the mafia boss is taking care of them.
Yeah.
But they're actually not.
No,
not.
they're the
They don't
first one
care
that are
about
getting a
them.
shot in the head.
I didn't
They don't
ask
give a
for
shit.
them to care. I'm not looking for a father figure.
Here's today's summary. Eat native, local food, good.
Good.
Chemically enhanced.
I totally agree with
So
that.
good at that summarizing. Well, you can see we have a lot of lively intelligence on this island, in this studio, and we certainly welcome different points of view. And Jared, you are loved along with the rest of us, and we want to let the island love each and every one of us with her huge heart, her enormous soul, and her unbelievable capacity to take care of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Selfish as that may be. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Aloha.
Aloha.